Hello and welcome as Zenith Players presents Outward Bound by Sutton Vane. I'm TJ, I'm our technical director. All of the actors you'll be hearing tonight are volunteering their time and talent from their homes to bring a little bit of entertainment into your homes. We want to thank them all very much for joining us. We'd also like to thank our friend, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare, for hosting this on his pages. You can check out his website at shakespeareapproves.com or his Patreon at patreon.com/Shakespeare. Find out more about him at that website or by visiting his Facebook page, Shakespeare Approves, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. We will have links to visit him as well as some of our other performer friends in the comments of this video, just as soon as I am able to paste them there. As always, we want to acknowledge and thank all of the medical professionals and essential workers who have been working tirelessly to keep us all as healthy and safe and soon as vaccinated as possible. If you are interested in more information about our totally volunteer organization, check out our website, zenithplayers.com. Feel free to check out our very attractive donations page. 100% of all donations go towards production costs, which these days consist of the various subscriptions that allow for these readings to happen. If you would like to read with us in future projects, send us an email at casting@zenithplayers.com and we will get you on board. You can join us next Saturday for A Doll's House by Henrik Ibsen. For now, relax and enjoy. Steve Anderson as Tom Pryor, Andrew Gellos as the Reverend William Duke, Erin Klarner as Anne, Shakira Searle as Henry, John Elsenbeck as Mr. Lingley, Erica Vieira as Mrs. Cliveden Banks, Titania Lovett Spence as Mrs. Midget, Chloe Faith Costello as Scrubby, and Andrea Atwood as the Reverend Frank Tomlinson in Outward Bound. Act 1. The curtain rises on a lounge smoke room of a small ocean liner. There's a bar with the usual array of glasses and bottles on the counter and on the shelves behind it. The sun is shining. It's a clear, still morning. Behind the bar stands Scrubby, busy polishing the glasses. Anne is seen to pass along the deck. She comes into the room. She pauses, looking around in a frightened manner. Scrubby clinks a glass. She turns and sees him.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Good morning.
Good morning, madam.
I'm sorry to bother you, but I'm afraid we've lost our way.
Well, where do you want to get to, madam?
Cabins, of course.
Cabins?
Yes, where we sleep. I'm afraid I'm awfully stupid. I've never been on the sea before.
The old ship will be highly flattered. You'll find all the berths right forward, down there.
Thank you very much. Henry! Come along, dear. I was right. This is the way.
Enters.
Sorry, I was looking at the sea. What did you say?
This is the way, dear.
Oh, good. We'll probably find all our stuff in the cabin already. How did you find out?
He told me.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
A bit confusing, these boats, aren't they?
Yes, sir, to begin with.
Come along, dear.
Hey, I'm feeling awfully tired.
Do you wonder? After what you've been through?
No, I suppose I don't. I can't quite focus at all, even now, you know. By Jove, we'll have a gorgeous trip, though, won't we?
Yes, dear.
The rest, the peace and
Don't worry so, dear.
the forgetfulness.
Of course, dear, don't worry.
No, I won't. But thanks for telling my wife the way.
Give me your hand.
What's that?
Give me your hand, dear.
Oh, you treat me like a child. I'm quite all right, really.
Give me your hand. There.
Thanks for the hand.
Come along.
They exit together. A moment later, Tom Pryor enters.
Oh, good morning, steward.
Good morning, sir.
This is the smoke room, I suppose?
Yes, sir.
Look here, how long before we sail?
About a quarter of an hour, sir, or more, or less.
Then I say, could I get a drink?
Certainly, sir.
Oh, I want one.
What shall I get you, sir?
A scotch.
Any soda water, sir?
No, thank you.
All Scotch.
As a matter of fact, steward, probably see a lot of me during this trip. You'll get to know me quite well. So I thought I'd warn you to begin with.
The warning is an honor, sir.
Yes, thanks. How much is it?
Oh, you needn't pay, sir.
What?
If you'll just sign this.
Yes, of course. I've forgotten that catch. Have one yourself.
No, thank you, sir.
That's better. As a matter of fact, Stuart, I had a rather thick night last night.
Indeed, sir.
Yes, I want pulling together. By Jove, it must have been a jolly thick night, because I can't remember anything about it now. But never mind. It's a gorgeous morning, anyway.
It is, sir. A pity some people should be alive to spoil it.
What's that?
I was talking to myself, sir.
I say, Stuart, how many passengers have we got?
Not many, sir. It's our slack time of year.
Last time I came out, must be over 10 years ago. I was going tea planting, and I was only about 19. And how time flies. Get me some cigarettes.
Yes, sir. Egyptians, Turkish, or Virginian?
Gold flake. What's the old captain like?
Very decent sort, I've heard say, sir. Very respected, I know.
Oh, I don't like that sort. Not on these small ships. Now, when I went out before...
Your cigarettes, sir?
Oh, yes, thank you. And get me another drink, the same.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks enters, carrying an armful of magazines.
Aha, I thought I knew that voice.
What? Oh, really? Good gracious. Mrs. Cliveden Banks, how are you? What a surprise.
I saw your name on the passenger list, so I asked for the bar at once, and here you are.
Delighted. Won't you sit down? What are you doing here?
Joining my dear husband, and I'm afraid we're in for a very dull trip. There is nobody on board, at least nobody who is anybody. Though, of course, the poor creatures can't help that. You follow me? What I say, I mean in the most kindly manner, but still, there it is.
We must try and cheer each other up then, Mrs. Banks.
Yes, all friends at sea, of course. By the way, my name is Cliveden Banks. You know, of course, but it's such a long while since we met. There was a plain Mrs. Banks in the divorce court lately. So silly of her. And so plain, judging from the Daily Mirror. A total stranger, of course. Still, it's made me very particular about my hyphen. Not that I am ever likely to appear in a divorce court.
No, most unlikely.
Still, you see what I mean.
Of course. Thank you. Mrs. Cliveden Banks, will you have a drink?
Thank you. What are you drinking? Ginger ale?
No, whiskey.
At this time in the morning?
Oh, whiskey at any time in the morning, afternoon, or evening.
I'm afraid you're still a naughty boy. I'll have a ginger ale.
Ginger ale, small.
When I said there was nobody on board, dear Mr. Pryor, between you and me, there is one person on board to whom I shall take a strong objection. He's a clergyman.
Poor blighter. I should pity rather than blame him.
Oh, don't you know? Clergymen at sea are dreadfully unlucky. We shall probably all go to the bottom. If we do, I shall blame the clergymen entirely. In my opinion, steamship companies have no right to let clergymen travel at all. The clergy ought to stay at home in their own parishes and do good, not go gadding about all over the world, putting other people's lives in danger.
Your ginger ale, madam.
Thank you, steward. Isn't that so?
Isn't what so, madam?
Oh, you must have been listening to what I was saying.
I assure you, madam, I was not.
How odd. I was remarking that the seafaring men regard the presence of a clergyman on board your ship as highly unlucky.
I believe there is a superstition to that effect, madam. Yes.
There, I told you so. Well, the best thing we can do is to cut the fellow dead. Nicely, of course, but firmly.
Just as you like. But will we save the boat by doing it?
How droll you are.
Look out and talk of the...
Reverend William Duke enters.
Good morning, sir.
How is the colonel?
Dear Benjamin, I regret to say, is feeling the heat dreadfully. I should have joined him last year. But somehow I never got time. The penalty of popularity. My great friend Mabel, the Duchess of Middleford. You don't know her. Of course, she was only saying to me at the palace the other day.
Good morning.
Oh, good morning.
Who is that man?
Really, Mrs. Cliveden Banks, I don't know.
How strange. Peculiar people one must meet, mustn't one, in public places? Never mind. Let me see. Where was I?
With your great friend who I don't know.
Oh, yes, of course. And then that strange man whom we neither of us know interrupted by wishing you good morning. Never mind. Mabel pointed out to me very clearly that I was in danger of neglecting my duty. She said to me quite plainly, almost brutally, and she can be very brutal sometimes. My dear Genevieve, she said, you must remember you are a daughter of the Empire, a soldier's daughter, a soldier's wife. Your place is by your husband's side in far, far India. In fact, she was so insistent on my leaving England that if I didn't know her really well, I should have felt she wanted to get rid of me. Still, I have taken her advice. I have abandoned London's gaieties and go to help poor dear Benjamin rule a lot of black men. Frankly, I hate the idea.
I'm awfully sorry to bother you, madam, but could you tell me what the date is?
What was that?
I ought to know, of course, seeing that it's the date we sail, but my memory is so...
Did you say the date?
Yes, if you please.
The date?
If you would.
You're trying to start a conversation with me, aren't you?
Oh, well, frankly, as we're all to be shipmates, the sooner we get to know each other, the better, don't you think?
That young man is a matter of opinion.
Oh, I'm awfully sorry if I didn't think introductions were necessary on board ship.
Possibly they may not have been in the days of Walter Raleigh. Not having been there myself at the time, I cannot say for certain. But customs change at sea, young man, even though the church remains exactly where it always was. Under the circumstances, therefore, there can be no question of me giving you a date.
I beg your pardon. I'll find it out for myself.
Was that cutting enough, dear Mr. Pryor?
Yes, most. But what did it mean?
I don't know.
Enter Mrs. Midget.
You'll excuse me, ma'am, but...
Good gracious!
You'll excuse me speaking up, as it were, but I must say something to someone. And as you're the only other lady I've seen about, bar myself, I must ask you to give me a...
Mr. Pryor, am I to be attacked from all sides?
Mr. Pryor?
Any objection?
No, very pleased to meet you. You see, ma'am, I had to follow you here because you see, ma'am, I've been struck all of a heap.
You've been what?
Struck all of a heap.
Mr. Pryor, rescue me. And you had better do something for this good woman too. It appears she has been struck all of a heap, whatever that may mean.
What is the trouble?
Well, sir, thanking you. It's like this, as it were.
As it were, how quaint. As it was is correct, of course. We all know that from our prayer book. Go on.
Well, sir, it were like this, as it was. Only that last Saturday, Mrs. Roberts and I were talking about the sheets being damp, and I says,
Ah, sheets damp. The good woman is, of course, a stewardess.
Are you?
am I what?
A stewardess on this boat?
Oh, I'm a passenger.
She's a passenger. Oh, I see it. She's a passenger. I see it all. The whole thing has come to me in a flash. She's a passenger. Don't worry yourself anymore, Mr. Pryor. I have solved the good woman's troubles. She's a passenger and she's lost her way. Haven't you, good woman?
Exactly, Mum.
Mr. Pryor, tell that steward fellow to tell somebody to take the good woman back to her proper place immediately. She's been wandering. She's on the wrong deck. She's in the wrong class. Goodbye, good woman. Goodbye. So glad to have been so helpful.
Thank you, ma'am.
Steward, just get someone to show this woman steerage, third class deck, something, will you?
Of the third class, sir?
Yes, please.
I think you've made some mistakes, sir. There's only one class on the boat.
What was that?
Only one class.
Yes, sir. It's the same on all this line.
What was that?
Oh, sorry, I didn't know. Mrs. Clifton Banks,
Mr. Pryor, did I or did I not hear that fellow say there is only one class on this boat?
He said so, certainly.
Mr. Pryor, the thing's impossible.
He ought to know.
How dare she? How dare my secretary book me a passage on a vessel with only one class? How am I to know who are the ladies and gentlemen and who are not?
No, don't get excited.
Excited? Mr. Pryor, a terrible thought just struck me. That woman there?
Well, what about her?
She probably eats.
Extremely likely, I should say.
Well, then, if she eats, and if there's only one class, she will eat in the same place as we shall. It can't be done. I shall disembark immediately.
Now look here, Mrs. Banks. Mrs. Clifton Banks. She's probably only a lady's maid or something.
Who would want a maid like that outside a lunatic asylum?
The idea of your landing is absurd. We can easily avoid her. If you're really upset...
And I am.
Then I'll question her.
Do quickly. It wouldn't be quite impossible for me to lunch at the same table with the woman who has been struck all of a heap.
Come here, will you? We want to help you if we possibly can.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me. Thanks. Now, what is your name?
Midget.
What?
Midget.
That, to begin with, is an alibi. No one could possibly be called midget.
Oh, couldn't they? Well, I'll show you whether they could or could not, all right? Midget, as good a name as any other. Midget is. And don't you forget it, old Mrs. High and Mighty. My name's Midget, all right? Midget married me, all right? And I can prove it. And I've got my lines, which was a job to get, and as I admit.
How dreadfully sordid.
But when it comes to utter strangers telling me as I don't know what my own name is, then I speaks up, unabashed, as I would do in front of that old street. I've nothing to hide. I'm not one of these.
That will do. The world is full of troubles, we know. Doubtless you have had yours, my woman.
I have had trouble, I confess.
But what's your present one? That's what we want to know.
Where am I?
On board. On board this ship.
Yes, but what for?
Should I know? Are your tickets and luggage all right?
I suppose so. I'm not one to worry over little things.
Have you been to your cabin yet?
No.
What's the number?
How do I know if I ain't been there?
I say, you're not tight, are you?
Right.
Blotto, squiffy, gone away.
Not me. T I am.
How wise of you. Well, are you ill?
Now that's what I'm a-wondering. Am I ill? I don't think so. I don't feel ill. And yet I said to Mrs. Roberts last Thursday, or was it Wednesday? Never mind. I said to her, anyway, I says, what I want, says I, or did she say it to me? Never mind. It don't make no difference. One of us says it to the other. What I want or you want, according to whichever of us did say it, is for a holiday.
Ruby appears.
Through holiday.
And then, wait a minute. I remember now, it's all coming back. I've come on here to meet somebody.
Oh, that's it, is it?
Yes, at the other end. It was our parson's idea. For a holiday, of course. How silly of me to forget. But of course I ain't had much to eat today. And what with this excitement and one thing and another, and Mrs. Roberts?
Damn Mrs. Roberts.
Oh, I do, sir. Often.
Look here, what you want is a sandwich and a drink and a good sleep. Then you'll remember everything. Someone should have brought you here, of course. But if you're being met at the other end, there's nothing to worry about.
Thank you, sir.
The woman is obviously lightheaded. Have her removed.
Steward, can you find out this passenger's stewardess for me, for her? Have her put in her charge. See, she gets everything she should have. Nervous, you know. Oh, never been to sea.
Certainly, sir.
I should certainly suggest a sleep for her, a long, long sleep, in fact. If I were in her place, I should take a complete rest, have all my meals in my own cabin, and never come on deck at all. I'm sure she would feel better if she did that.
Much obliged. But I hope to be hoping about a little cricket in our way or two.
This way, madam.
Thank you, Captain.
Ruby and Mrs. Midget exit.
Straight ahead.
Should like to burn Miss Longton. Mira Longton is my secretary.
Do you think that woman was speaking the truth?
No. She's probably one of a gang of international crooks. Look at the way she scraped acquaintance with me. Personally, I shall be on my guard against her. What do you think that is?
Sailing shortly, I suppose?
Then I shall go on deck and wave farewell to the dear old white cliffs. By the way, I'm told on many parts of the coast they're crumbling fast. Still, England, there's no country like her.
Thank goodness.
Why did you say that?
I don't. That's what other countries say.
How naughty you are. Well, come along and protect me from the mob.
No, thanks. If you'll excuse me, I'd rather remain here and slip away from my native land, oblivious of her disregard for me.
Which means?
That I'm going to have another drink.
You're a bad lad. Still, I'll see you later.
I suppose so. Confound the woman.
Enter the Reverend Duke.
Oh, I say, Padre.
How is the Colonel?
Padre.
Were you speaking to me, sir?
Yes, I want to apologize.
What for?
Cutting you stone dead like the silly old woman I was with.
Oh, that's all right.
Sure.
Sure.
Positive.
Positive.
Good. Have a drink?
Thanks.
The fellow will be back in a second, I'm sure.
Good.
Cigarette?
Oh, thanks.
Hot, isn't it?
Yes, hot.
Yes. Do you think we shall have smooth passage?
Quite. I mean, I hope so.
So do I.
I suppose we all do.
Yes, I suppose we all do. I say, I must tell you, of course, I should never have behaved as I did just now, pretending not to see you and all that. But of course, I'm a very weak character.
Strong of you to admit it.
Yes, I'm easily led astray. No stamina. I can't think why. And the old cat was dribbling along, and she persuaded me not to see you. Told me you were unlucky. So I agreed not to. I always agree with anyone I'm with. She was to blame entirely.
I have always found it unwise habit to run down other people. They have a nasty way of getting to hear about it and retaliating with interest.
You're not going to preach a sermon, are you?
Oh, good Lord, no. I say, do you know Bethel Green?
Good heavens, no.
Take my advice, then, and don't. I do. I've known it for the last 8 years, and I'm sick of the slums and people I was trying to keep straight with sermons, official and otherwise, and the drizzle and the smell of tea and urns and the vicar. Oh, yes, the vicar more than anything. No, no, no. More sermons from me for a bit. But I beg your pardon. I must be boring you.
Not at all, so far. You must have had a pretty rotten time.
Well, I don't know. I'm awfully keen on my job. I want a rest, that's all.
A thoroughology, in fact.
Enter Scrubby.
Hello, here's our man. This will do you good. What's it to be?
Beer, please.
Steward, what is your name?
Scrubby.
Midget and Scrubby. Good Lord. Oh, well, it can't be helped, I suppose. A bass, please, and the same.
Yes, sir.
I think everybody ought to be awfully keen, don't you?
What do you mean? Sort of getting up in the morning before breakfast and having a cold bath? Because if you do, I don't.
No, not necessarily that, of course, but keen every moment of the day, keen on something, never wasting a moment as it always at it, as it were. Now there's the trip, for instance, that we are going on. We must arrange to enjoy every moment of it.
Why?
Oh, because we're meant to.
I am.
We must organize amongst ourselves. I've thought out lots of jolly little ideas.
Such as?
Well, for instance, we'll get up a concert.
Oh, that will be jolly. Must we get up a concert?
Well, of course.
Why must we get up a concert?
Just to amuse the other passengers.
Would it amuse the other passengers?
And ourselves, too.
Oh, I see.
It always is done, do you know?
Some habits want breaking.
Do you sing?
No.
That's a pity.
Do you recite?
No.
That's excellent.
Your drink, sir, and it's quite all right.
What's quite all right?
The lady, sir.
Which lady?
The lady you wanted to put in charge of her stewardess?
Oh, yes, of course, that lady. Thanks very much.
Thank you, sir.
I say, I really oughtn't to know, but I'd always understood you couldn't get a drink on board ship until she sailed.
Neither you can, as a rule. That never struck me, but you won't tell anybody, will you?
Oh, it's very queer.
It's very lucky. Chiro.
Chiro?
Got any other gadget on you for the passengers' amusement? Perhaps you'd like me to walk the plank or something.
We ought to have some sport, of course.
Why did I put the idea into your head?
You can help with the organization. You need not participate.
All right. I'll organize anything you like. From here. Cheery spot, this.
Enter Mr. Lingley.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name's Lingley.
Hooray.
I've had a narrow shave, nearly missed her.
Duke's my name. Very warm today, sir.
Damn warm. I beg your pardon. I didn't notice your collar. Very warm. Steward, get me a drink.
Whiskey and soda, sir?
No, confound you, ginger ale with some ice. Yes, I left a bit too late. Another 5 minutes, and I'd have missed her.
We'll soon to be off then.
We're sailing now.
Land of hope and glory. Au revoir.
You motored here?
No, flew in my office 2 hours ago. Now I must get on with things.
There you are, as you see. The man's keen.
I know the blighter.
Your ginger ale, sir.
How much?
You needn't pay, sir.
I always pay. How much?
1 shilling, sir.
Damn her. Very expensive. There it is, 1 shilling.
Thank you, sir.
What for? I haven't tipped you.
I hope you won't be so busy, sir, that we shan't see you on the trip.
Once in my stateroom, I don't suppose I'll leave it till we touch Marseille.
I hope it's interesting work, sir.
No, it isn't, but it keeps me busy. I'm an MP, you know.
Oh, pleased to meet you.
Not at all. I'm on the London County Council as well. Incidentally, I own 21 music halls, a chain of cinemas, 2 gold mines, and a Methodist chapel. Naturally, they want looking after.
Naturally. What are you doing with the chapel?
Having it pulled down.
Sportsman?
You there.
Me?
Yes, I know your face, don't I? I never forget a face.
How that must sadden your sweet life at times.
Where have I seen it before?
In your office. You gave me a job once. It lasted 2 days.
What was the matter?
Your office. I couldn't stand the atmosphere, so I drowned it in drink.
I remember you were sacked mechanically.
Yes. You wouldn't give me a second chance.
No one has ever given me a second chance. I shall never expect one. I shall certainly never ask for one.
As you said when you sacked me mechanically. In my opinion, Mr. Lingley, LCCNP, you're a pompous old idiot.
How dare you? How you must be crazy.
I'm not in your ghastly office now. I can say what I like. You're a blue-nosed baboon. There. I dreamt I said that to you for weeks, and now I've said it.
If you're not careful, Mr.
If you're not careful, Mr. Lingley, I'll make you walk the plank at the sports.
Mr. Pryor, you are obviously drunk now.
I am drunk, I admit, but I trusted not obviously.
Dear, 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 dear.
Yes, that remarks helps matters such a lot, doesn't it?
I shall go on deck. Where are my papers? I've been irritated. The doctor said I must not be irritated. I've too much to do to be irritated.
Oh, I'm sure Mr. Pryor didn't mean...
I did. Every word of it. Shut up. He's a pink-eyed rabbit. He's a rotter. He's a grasper.
Silence, sir. For goodness sake, silence. I shan't be able to concentrate after this interruption. I came here for peace, damn you. I've been thinking too hard as it is, and now this little giant, this little gnat, he's destroyed what I'd nearly completed in my mind. Damn you, sir. I'm sick of opposition. Damn you. You.
Mr. Lingley? What is it?
Wait.
You're looking ill.
Yes, I am ill. I'm feeling ill. I am. Suddenly, I was warned about this. An arm, please, and some of that stuff you're drinking. Thank you. I shall be all right in a minute.
I'll get the doctor.
No, he'll only irritate me. I know what to do. I've been told what to do. Absolute quiet and fresh air. I'll take one of these. Thank you. I must keep quiet, calm, and not think. I shall be all right in a minute, and I'll see another man the moment I get to where is it I'm going?
Marseille, you said, sir?
Yes, of course. Marseille. What am I going to Marseille for?
Don't worry now.
No, don't worry. That's right. I felt quite faint for the moment. Mr. Duke, thank you. You've done me good. I'll go on deck and sit down.
I'll see you there.
Thank you. I prefer to be alone. I'm quite all right. I shall soon remember everything. I know what I'm doing. Oh, I've forgotten my papers.
Leave them. They can wait. I'll look after them.
No, give them to me.
I wish you'd let me come and...
Please don't worry me. It's all right this time. I know it is. If I'm not worried, thank you. I know what I'm doing. Of course, I know already. I'm better. I'm going to meet someone, that's all. But was it Aronson or was it Bantock?
Remember what your doctor said. Don't worry.
Of course not. No, that was the worst attack I've had so far. But I'm better now. Yes, and quiet and sea air will soon clear my mind completely. Thank you. I wish I could remember if it was Aronson or Bantock. Thank you, Mr. Duke, for your very kind assistance.
The Lingley exits slowly.
Audrey,
Well,
what was it?
I don't know. Some sudden sort of attack. I'm going to stop by him.
Padre,
Well,
it was my fault, I suppose.
oh, no,
Are you angry with me?
Why? Should I be?
You know.
A drink is terrible.
It seemed to do him some good.
That's different.
You promised no sermons anyway.
What made you start in?
Well, you said everyone should be keen on something. Drink is my hobby. Let's leave it at that.
Please, don't joke about it.
All right. If you won't be angry with me, I hate people to be angry with me. But I wasn't joking.
I'll see you later. In fact, I hope to see a lot of you on this voyage.
Thanks. That's what I said to the steward. Padre?
Well,
One moment.
what is it?
Strict confidence. Now we're friends again. Has it struck you by any chance that there's anything queer about this boat? Strictly between ourselves?
No, it hasn't.
It has me.
How do you mean?
I think there's something jolly queer about her. Oh, by Jove, if I were right, it would be a joke.
I don't follow you.
Well, there was a sort of charwoman here just now. You didn't see her. A very decent sort of soul, of course, but hardly the kind of person you'd expect to find here. And she couldn't remember where she was going, excepting she was going to meet someone. Now, this Lingley fellow's just told us the same thing in different words. He couldn't remember where he was going either. Not clearly. And I've noticed lots of other little things. For instance, it's absurd sailing with our passenger list. There are so few of us. I tell you, it's queer. And
Really, I can't follow you.
then there's old Mrs. Banks drivelling on about joining her husband. Good Lord. It's just struck me.
What has?
Colonel Cliveden Banks kicked the bucket over a month ago. Surely she can't have forgotten that. Or would that be his father?
Mr. Pryor, if you would take my advice, you'll follow Mr. Lingley's example and get some fresh air on the deck.
Yes, I think I will. All the same, it is queer. Certain you're not angry with me?
Oh, yes, certain. Shipmates, eh?
Oh, yes, shipmates. But I bet you cut me the moment we landed.
Rot.
Lingley onto the deck. Henry has entered from the door.
Excuse me, sir, I'm after you. Thanks. I say, do you mind if I ask you a question?
It's not.
It's a rather queer question.
Go on.
Do you know where you are going to?
Are you a Salvation Army man or what?
No, I'm quite serious.
Of course I know where I'm going to.
On this boat?
Certainly.
Thank goodness. Now, I am going to go get some fresh air.
He exits as Anne enters.
Why did you run away?
Wanted a match.
I had some.
Bit nervy too.
We've no need to be now. We've sailed.
Really?
Yes, I saw the water moving by the porthole.
You're right. Why, we're well out. Almost open water.
Yes, dear.
Give me your hat.
Hold tight to it.
Yeah. It's just like an ordinary sailing.
Is it?
A man just now asked me if I knew where I was going. I said I did.
That was right.
Funny question, though, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
He said it was queer. You don't think he...
No, of course not, dear. Can you smell the sea?
Yes, fine, isn't it?
I hope it will be terribly rough with lots of spray and wind.
Why?
You can hold me closer.
Anne. I've been worrying. I've been thinking just now, these modern inventions and things like that, you know.
You prosaic old thing, aren't you?
They couldn't possibly call us back even now, could they?
Of course not, dear. How could they? We're safe enough as long as we hold tight.
It was a risk, though, wasn't it?
Yes, dear.
Supposing if it hadn't happened.
My dear, we always knew it would.
Yes, but if it hadn't...
We knew.
I think you were always more certain than I was.
Well, then, I knew for both of us.
Yes, that's right. You knew. And I trust you so in things I can't quite understand. Of course, I trust you in things I can understand, too. But you seem to know so much more about the big things than I do.
Perhaps I only pretend to.
Oh, no. You know all right. Give me another light, will you? Thanks. It's nice being able to smoke. Anne?
Well, dear?
You're quite sure?
Quite sure, dear.
Isn't ours a terribly big secret?
Isn't it?
Yes, and I love you so.
I love you, Henry.
Always?
Always.
Oh, I wonder how the dog is.
Oh, you baby! A poor old Jock. Oh, they'll look after him all right.
I hope so. I say, Anne, when dogs die, what do you think happens to them?
I don't know. There must be some sort of doggy's heaven, I suppose.
Oh, what a jolly place it must be. No cats in it, of course.
No, of course not. There's lots of bones and meat and water. And hot fires to lie in front of in the winter.
But what about kind masters?
Oh, I'd forgotten them. I expect there's some arrangement so that the good dogs can't remember the kind masters.
We remember, though.
Yes, you were a very kind master.
It's queer. Poor old Jock. I say, Anne, you don't think
What?
any of these other people could possibly know?
Our secret? Of course they can't.
It is a wonderful secret.
I told you, Henry. How would it be as long as we believed?
And yet, I wonder if it's safe, even now.
What makes you say that?
I can't quite remember, and not clearly. Not yet. It's coming back gradually, of course, but
Yes, dear?
Anne, haven't you and I sinned in some way?
We've been true to each other. How can we have sinned?
If we had, Anne, could they separate us?
Hold my hand tightly.
Oh, I'm trying so hard to remember
What, dear?
what it is we've done that isn't right.
We have done nothing that isn't right.
No, not in our light, of course, but we have from the world's.
We've never cared for the world. We're not going to care for it now.
If we were wrong, and if it was something very, very wrong, they couldn't separate us, could they?
That sort of thing is all over now, Henry. You've forgotten our secret.
No, I haven't. It's all perfect, of course, excepting this one thing.
Mentors.
Don't laugh. Don't laugh at me, Anne. I'm only trying to remember and asking for your help. It seems to me this thing, this crime, if it is one, that we've committed, is something big. And yet that it's... Now don't laugh. That it's only something to do with gas.
Gas?
Yes.
You silly.
It seems to me that before we left the flat...
Our sad little flat.
I forgot to turn off the gas.
You terrible silly! Of course you did. We agreed that. That's what we agreed.
There's nothing very wrong in not turning off the gas.
Don't worry, dear. Take my hand.
Nothing so bad that they could separate us for it. You can't blame people for not turning off the gas. And yet, I'd have sworn... Anne, you're quite certain that there isn't something else we've done? Something big?
There's nothing else, dear. I'm certain. You've nothing to be ashamed of.
I love you so.
Thank you, Henry. Don't worry, dear.
I wish I could remember how we got here. We wanted to so long. Anyway, now we have.
Let's go out onto the deck.
Yes, let's. Bless you. Oh, hello, sir.
Hello.
We didn't notice you.
It's all right. I just came back to...
May I introduce my wife, Anne? This is the gentleman who asked me if I knew where I was going.
How do you do?
How do you do?
We'll see you later. We've sailed, you know.
An exit. Scrubby appears.
Yes. I am right, Scrubby. I am right, aren't I?
Right, sir, in the head, do you mean?
You know what I mean.
No, I don't, sir. Right about what?
All of us on the boat.
What about all of us on the boat, sir?
We are, answer me truthfully, we are all dead, aren't we?
Yes, sir. We are all dead. Quite dead. They don't find out so soon as you have, as a rule.
Queer.
Not when you get used to it, sir.
How long have you been, No, you know.
Me, sir? Oh, I was lost young.
I don't understand.
And no, sir, you wouldn't. Not yet. But you'll get to know lots of things as the voyage goes on.
Tell me one thing, now.
Anything I can, sir.
Where are we sailing for?
Heaven, sir.
Heaven?
And hell, too. It's the same place, you see.
End of Act 1. Act 2. Evening. Curtains are drawn over the portholes and the electric lights are on. Mrs. Cliveden Banks is seated with Mr. Langley.
Well, Lingley, I'm so glad that you're feeling better.
Thank you, I say, Mrs. Midget.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks. Yes, I foresaw trouble with her this morning, Mrs. Midget. No, I am Mrs. Cliveden Banks.
I apologize. What strikes me is that this line can't be paying any dividends. Why, there's nobody on board.
Bother dividends, as long as I'm comfortable.
This, I think, is the best place.
Quite a jolly little snuggery.
Reverend William Duke enters.
At least it was.
Join me in a cigar, Duke.
Thank you.
And I was so comfortable. Where on earth can I go to do now, I wonder?
Oh, don't go.
I hope you are not leaving on my account.
Your hope is shattered, young man. I am.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks, I don't know what I've done to offend you. I can't help being a parson. But I do know that you'll make it very uncomfortable for the others if you go on like this. So come, look over my shortcomings just for this trip. Remember that to err is human, to forgive divine.
Are you suggesting I have ever erred?
In your case, I am certain such a thing would be impossible.
Oh, very well. I sacrifice myself for the other's sake. I am a generous woman. How do you do? But remember, Mr. Duke, if you do drown us all, I'll never speak to you again.
Splendid. Now, where are those other two? We might get up some bridge. We must all do something our first night out.
What other two do you mean?
They, at dinner, they sat by themselves, seemed awfully nice, quiet. I don't know their names. I think the girl's called Anne.
Oh, that couple. Oh dear. Did you like the look of them?
Yes. Didn't you?
No, I thought there was something funny about them.
Funny.
What do you mean by that?
I don't know. It just struck me they were funny, not nice. I may be wrong. I hope I am. But that is my opinion. Not nice. Funny.
Mrs. Midget wanders in.
May I come in?
Now I shall go.
Yes, come in, Mrs. Midget, come in.
It's a bit lonely in the street.
The street.
Out there.
She means the deck. How quaint.
It's more cheerful in here, isn't it?
Very much.
Sit down. You're not nervous now, are you?
Not of you, sir. You wear just the same sort of collar as our parson did. I wish I was back in the Lambeth Road.
I can't stand the creature. I really can't. She's too impossible. I shall squash her. Good evening, Mrs. Midget. We heard you at dinner. Very warm this evening, isn't it?
Yes, dearie. Hellish hot. Begging your reverend pardon, I've come out all of a sweat.
Oh, dear me. Have you really? How embarrassing. What a day you've had, haven't you? First of all, you struck into a heap, and now you've come out all of a... Yes, exactly. Yet I suppose you travel a great deal.
Every day. Lambeth to the bank, and from the bank back to Lambeth, working in the city as I do.
The city? How enthralling. Big financial interests, I presume?
No, Sharon. And in the old times, we always managed Margate in the summer. Nice spot, Margate, isn't it?
I know nothing against it. I have never been there, of course.
Never been to Margate? Would you believe it?
Yes.
Oh, you'd love Margate, a treat, ma'am. What with the paddling and everything. Do you like the cocoa nuts?
Cocoa nuts? Oh, good Lord, no.
Ah, then you might not like Margate. They grow very good ones here, though. At least they used to. 'Cause I ain't been there since I lost all my money. Do you know, all of you, believe me or believe me not, I once had a house of my very own.
How magnificent.
Yes, wasn't it? Though, of course, it wasn't all my own. No, semi-detached and lodgers, you know, paying guests, and very well it did pay for donkey's years. Well enough for me to make my son a gentleman, anyway, and send him to public school to prove it.
Quite romantic. Perhaps I have met your dear boy? Where was he at school? Eton or Harrow, or both?
Well, having become a gentleman, he naturally lost all his money, and his money was my money, and I ain't seen him since. He hasn't seen me, not to know me, since he was a little boy. I got my brother-in-law, he's rich, to take him over and manage things for me. You see, I didn't want to disgrace him. I'm so home-like, he being a good boy, though.
Sounds it.
He was, I tell you. But you know what it is yourself, sir.
I do not. I have never lost a penny in my life.
Then you can't be a gentleman.
What?
Now, the gentlemen my boy mixed with were gents, always broke, bless them, and then having another one just to make them forget about it. But you can't have your cake and eat it, as the saying goes, nor your gin and drink. It, as you well know, sir.
Confound it, madam. I do not know.
Sorrow's sent to try us, Mrs. Fidget.
Pause. It's sent us to try us. What else could it be sent for? And it does try us very much.
Yes, but sometimes, as in your case,
Mr. Duke means you would never have the steady poise, you would not be the woman of the world you so obviously are, unless...
You're trying to pull my leg, aren't you?
I'm afraid Mrs. Cliveden Banks was trying to. I certainly didn't mean that.
Thank you, sir. Ma'am, I may not know the manners of society, and if it them in such as yours, I do not want to. With which terse remark, I shuts up, being sorry for anything I've said.
Yes, quite. Well, we must all do something, you know. The time is getting on. What about those cards?
Oh, I'd love a game of Snap. Mr. Pryor was only telling me this afternoon before and he was telling me that he played cards.
Pryor. Pooh!
I like him anyway.
Very unfortunate, Pryor. Yes. Dear.
Poor Mr. Pryor. But I hear he's always like that nowadays. A thoroughly bad lot, in fact. Not that I would say so in public, of course, but just between ourselves, I mean. Oh! What a sight he was, and what an exhibition he made of himself. I shall never forget it, never. Mr. Lingley, he called you, dear me, I can't help smiling, but he called you, didn't he?
Never mind what he called me, madam.
Well, you are rather like one, you know, if you don't mind me saying so. Where is he now, I wonder?
Sleeping it off, if he's a wise man.
Which he isn't.
He wasn't at dinner, naturally. I expect you all noticed it.
Of course. It's a great shame, a great pity.
Commenters.
Ah, Pryor.
Mr. Pryor, why, we were just talking about you.
Indeed.
Yes, I was only saying what a steady hand.
Don't waste any more of your breath than is absolutely necessary, Mrs. Cliveden Banks. Nor any of you either.
I beg your pardon?
What's the matter now?
We're trapped, that's all.
Trapped?
Yes, trapped. Every one of us, all of us on this boat, we're done for.
What, already? Mr. Duke?
I mean it. You needn't believe me if you don't want to. It's true all the same. We're dead people.
Oh, run away, young man, and sleep it off.
I'm sober enough now. And the boat's not sinking. I don't mean that either.
What the blazes do you mean then, sir?
Duke, come here. Feel my pulse. Draw a chalk line on the floor and make me walk it if you want to. Look at my eyes. Now, I am sober, aren't I?
Yes, I think so.
The last time I heard a clergyman say, yes, I think so, was on the music halls. Funny, I shall never go to a music hall again.
Why doesn't someone put the poor young man to bed? It would be much kinder.
Quiet, please. I don't want to frighten you, any of you, but I feel I ought to try and convince you. You admit I'm sober. You'll have to take my word for it that I'm not mad.
I should want more than your word for that.
You shall have it. You shall have the word of the man who calls himself a steward, and the words of two of our fellow passengers, the two who I see are not here.
But what about, sir? What are you driving at?
I began to suspect this morning before lunch Nobody seemed to know where they were going to. I'd forgotten myself, though I didn't admit it. I didn't want to. I didn't dare to. I daren't now. When I was quite convinced, I got drunk. It was only natural. All my life I've started to face facts by getting drunk. Well, when I woke up again about an hour ago, you were all in the saloon. I was frightened, terribly frightened. At last, I got out of my cabin and went over the ship. I made myself, yes, over her, all over her, into the officers' quarters and everything. No one said a word to me, for a very simple reason. There's no one on board to say anything. No captain, no crew, no nothing.
If there's no crew on board this ship, Mr. Pryor, may I ask who waited on me at dinner?
There's no one at all on board this ship, excepting we five, and those two, and the steward. He waited on you at dinner. He's in charge of the ship. I made myself find out. Do you know where that steward is now? He's up in the rigging, sitting cross-legged high up in the rigging. I've just seen him.
It's taken him a funny way, isn't it?
Really, Prior, I think that we should...
I don't know what I'm talking about. Very well then. Answer me this. Who have you, any of you, seen on board this ship since she sailed, excepting ourselves? Mrs. Midget, perhaps you can help. When I sent you to your stewardess this morning, did you see her?
See who? I saw no one except the fellow I went with. And first rate, he looked after me, got me a cup of tea and...
I tell you, Padre, think carefully. Who exactly have you spoken to?
I have seen men about, of course.
Have you? Have you indeed? What sort of men? Sailors?
Yes, I think so.
In the same way that you thought I was sober.
You don't expect us to talk to sailors, do you, Mr. Pryor? Able-bodied though they might be.
Have any of you met anybody else then? A purser, an officer of any kind, a stoker?
That reminds me, in your gigantic tour of this vessel, did you by any chance strike the engine room?
No, I couldn't find it.
A pity. I'd hoped you were going to say the ship was worked by an elastic.
Joke if you want to. If that is a joke. Well, Padre, speak up.
Well, I must have met someone, of course.
You should have met someone, you mean? But you're not. You've not. Padre, where are you landing?
Landing? I'm going to... Of course, I'm going to... Mind your own business.
Where are you landing?
I'm taking a little holiday, that's all. I'm going first to...
See, you can't remember. I'm right, I knew I was. I look at the quiet way we sail. Was anybody here to see us off? No, you know they weren't. Because you can't see people off, not right off, to where we're going.
I wish you'd get out, sir. We want to play cards.
Cards? Pah! Lingley, you terrific old sportsman. Why I should try and warn you, I don't know. Still, can you really honestly tell me you've seen nothing queer about this boat?
Nothing whatever, excepting you. She's exactly the same as any other boat. Go away.
Is she? Is she indeed?
Henry and Anne up here.
I'll tell you one little thing I noticed about her that struck me as slightly different. This boat doesn't carry a port light. No, and she doesn't carry a starboard one either. Now, is she the same as any other? Now, can you settle down to your cards?
You are mad.
Go and look, then. Get on deck. You can find out if you go forward for yourself. And if you can see them, you're mad.
I shouldn't make such a fool of myself.
You're just in time.
What for?
To give these people their chance. To stop them making fools of themselves. To back me up.
I don't quite follow.
You know. You knew this morning.
Knew what?
You've been on deck.
Just now?
Notice anything wrong?
What with?
Oh, don't pretend. Don't lie to me.
Really, I don't understand.
Then you don't understand how you got here either, I suppose. How either of you got here. Gas, my dear sir. Sheer gas.
Henry, don't speak to him. He frightens me.
Yes, I suppose I do. I know as well, you see.
Madam, I must apologize for our fellow passenger. He is not well.
Of course I'm not well. Under the circumstances, I should have thought that would have been obvious.
Mr. Duke, I see an unpleasant duty will have to be performed. As a clergyman, you must be more used to unpleasantness than any of us. Will you please perform it?
What do you want me to do?
Get him to the doctor, or the doctor to him.
The doctor? I tell you, there is no doctor. No one. If you try any of that sort of thing on, I'll make trouble. But I tell you what you can do if you like.
Well?
I'll make a bargain with you.
What is it?
Go out there, one of you men. Convince yourselves about those lights. And if I'm wrong, I'll go quietly.
That seems fair, poor fellow.
Well, what do you say? Mr. Lingley, will you oblige?
I should never dream of interfering with the ship's discipline.
It's no good asking you, of course.
No.
Padre, you're the only one left. What do you say?
If I do it, just to satisfy you, you'll keep your word?
Yes.
Very well, then.
Preposterous!
Thank you. Oh, Duke, the truth.
Of course.
Weak.
Don't you start. Don't you run the church down so. Take my advice. You may want her help very badly before long. Just wait until I am proved right. I can hear something out there.
What is it?
Wait a minute. He's stopped now.
I didn't hear anything.
I did. Sounded like a drum.
A drum?
Yes. A muffled drum.
Very possibly it was a muffled drum.
Very possibly it was imagination.
Let's talk about things out there anyway. It must be getting chilly out there now. So what's the good of talking about out there? Let's concentrate on making it nice and comfortable in here for our cards, which we hope to start the moment you've gone.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks, you're an ostrich. I'm sorry, but you are. You're in danger, great danger of something out there. Something, I don't know what it is, but it may affect your very soul. Yet all you can think about is light and warmth and cards in here. So the only word for you is ostrich.
Dear me, I can't help smiling, but he called you, didn't he?
Why doesn't he come back?
Steady, steady. My wife is easily upset.
Oh dear.
Too bad for you, Prior.
Is it?
What has happened to him?
Doom!
The clergyman, of course.
Oh, Duke. Who knows? Perhaps he can't get back. He's only but a second away.
You don't think?
I don't think. Because I don't know any more than you do. Hark. Listen, there it is again. The drum.
I must be getting deaf.
Well?
Well, speak, Mr. Duke.
It's all right, of course.
Duke? It is all right?
Of course.
Everything?
Everything.
I knew it would be all the time.
You liar! You liar! Come with me, I'll show you.
Prior! You promised to go quietly.
You swore to tell the truth. You clergyman, you dirty liar!
Got him, Lingley?
I will show you. No more lies. Now we're dead, you bloody liar. I won't be cheated. I will make you understand. I'm trying to help. I tell you, help us all.
Be quiet, sir.
If wanted, I'll be in the ladies' writing room. A long letter, you know, while the details are still fresh. Coming, dear?
Oh no.
Oh,
You don't write, I suppose.
They exit.
My dear?
I'll wait on deck.
And exits.
Shut those doors. And now, sir.
Prior, I apologize.
What do you mean?
That Mr. Prior was perfectly right.
What?
There's no starboard. No.
There's not.
No. There's no light on the boat at all. She's as black as pitch.
Impossible.
Look for yourself.
But the bridge.
As far as I could see, there's nothing. Nothing anywhere.
Nothing. Nobody.
Not even certain that we're moving.
Good heavens, man, why didn't you tell us this at once?
I didn't want to alarm the ladies.
Women drown as easily as men.
Is this a question of drowning? Something must be done. We must all do something immediately.
Exactly, but what?
Begin with, well, somebody ought to ring a bell.
And get the steward to come and explain.
Duke, do you believe in all this?
I don't understand it.
And you, sir?
I don't understand it either.
It's not true. And you know it's not true.
Yeah. Now look here. When did you first feel certain in your mind about all this?
After I'd heard something he said, I spoke to the steward. I asked him if he told me the truth, I'm sure. It seems we're sailing for both hell and heaven.
Very interesting from a professional point of view, of course.
Is there anything else you want to know? Better ask him, the steward.
Where is he now, I wonder?
Still sitting high up in the rigging, I expect.
Don't be sarcastic. He was there.
Was he? Then how did you see him if it's all dark outside?
It never struck me. But he was there.
Grubby enters.
We must hurry. Whilst we're talking like this, we may be drifting onto the rocks, crashing into something or...
No, sir, you won't do that.
Now, look here, my man. Where's the captain? Take me to him.
Oh, he left long ago, sir.
Bluff won't do. Take me to him. You're only a damned servant. Take me to him.
Mr. Lingley, I think we should all keep our tempers.
That's all right, sir. I've known a lot of them to get angry at first.
A lot of whom?
People like you, sir, who are just beginning.
Beginning?
To be passengers.
What you told me this morning was true, wasn't it?
That we're dead, sir? Yes, quite true, if that's what you mean.
You speak for yourself.
It is queer.
Why, sir? We didn't think it was queer when we were born.
Now listen, I don't want any mysteries.
There are none, sir.
And I mean to get in touch with someone at once. I have it, the wireless.
She doesn't carry any, sir.
That's illegal anyway. Duke? Duke?
I'm afraid I can't suggest anything.
But I must get out of this. I must get out of it.
That, sir, is impossible until after the examination.
What examination?
You'll find out later, sir.
The ladies ought to be warned immediately.
I should leave them to find out for themselves, sir, if I were you.
They will find out.
Damn it.
Undoubtedly, sir.
Damn it. Don't stand there saying nothing. Get upset.
I am, of course.
You're a bright lot, all of you, aren't you? So helpful, but what are we to do? What are we to do? You're always talking about doing things. What are we to do?
I really don't know. Of course, if we were all quite certain, a prayer...
Is praying going to bring the captain or the crew to life?
Or any of us, for that.
There's no danger, gentlemen, if that's what you're frightened of.
Isn't there?
No, sir.
I'm not frightened.
I am. How many times have you made this passage, Steward?
About 5,000 times, sir.
5.
Yes, I was lost young.
And it's always been like this?
Not always, sir, no. As I was telling this gentleman, the passengers don't find out so quickly as a rule. I suppose it's because of the halfways we've got on board this trip.
Halfways?
Yes, sir, it sometimes does work like that. Of course, I can't say anything.
There is no point in standing here talking to a lunatic. The question is, what is...
To be done? That's what they all ask, sir. There's nothing to be done. Just go on as if nothing had happened.
Simple.
Quite, sir, quite. You'll find everything simple now, until it comes to the examination.
Don't talk to me as if I were a schoolboy.
It is rather like going to school, sir.
Stop. It's all right. Everything's all right. I've solved the whole thing suddenly.
Have you?
Of course I have. I'm asleep. I'm really safe. I'm simply asleep.
What am I? Part of the nightmare?
I've had dreams like this before. Go away, go away. All you people. I'm Lingley of Lingley Limited. None of you can touch me. I turned myself into a company years ago. I am asleep, aren't I?
Yes, sir. Sound asleep.
Good. Good. Now, get away, all you people. I shall go. I will go. Isn't that lucky? I can go. You know, in some dreams, you can't.
Langley walks off.
Don't worry, gentlemen. I'll look after him.
Scrubby follows.
A good sleep would be the very best thing for Lingley.
Would it?
Huh?
Well, I mean, would it help now?
Oh, yes, of course. I'd forgotten. I really don't know. I don't understand. I'm quite a young man, and there's such a lot of work to be done after my holiday.
Try some of the whiskey. It still seems to work.
No, I don't think I will, if you'll excuse me, in case we meet anyone.
I'm awfully sorry. I'm afraid I'm a fearful rotter. I'm so used to it. Any crises you they say, Charles Reade or some other rotten novelist once said, "Never too late to mend," didn't he? Do you think there's any truth in novels? And then there was that other chap, the great one, in the Bible. He said, there you are, you see, that's the sort of fellow I am. I've forgotten what he said.
Does it really matter much what either of them said? Isn't it more to the point what you have got to say?
No sermons! But if you please, I would like to talk to you seriously. If you listen to me out there in the dark.
Shall we go out there in the dark? And talk to each other, shipmate?
This is a great chance for you, isn't it?
We must both, my dear Prior, keep our sense of humor. Coming out, sir?
No, not yet.
See you later, then.
He exits.
Yes.
I say, your wife's out there, isn't she?
Yes.
Shall I send her to you?
Oh, thank you.
You must have known, or you wouldn't have let her be out there alone.
I knew nothing. I know nothing now. Good night.
I suppose so.
Tom exits.
Anne? Anne?
Anne enters.
Anne? Ah, come here.
What is it?
Come here.
I'm with you.
Anne, listen. They know we're dead. They're finding out our secret.
I know. I know they are.
End of Act 2. Act 3, Scene 1. Afternoon some days later. There's a small table near the bar, chairs arranged around it in a circle, as if for a meeting. Enter Lingley.
Late. Now let me see. Mrs. Cliveden Banks, Mr. Duke, myself here, of course. Yes, that's right.
Enter Scrubby.
All correct, sir? Enough chairs, sir?
Oh, yes. Very nice indeed. Very nice. Mr. Scrubby, here's half a crown for your trouble. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
What for? Half a crown is no use to me now. Wait, please tell the others, my shipmates, that they are late for the meeting.
Yes, sir.
Tom enters.
Thank you, Mr. Scrubby. Thank you. Good gracious, fancy you being first.
Scrubby exits.
First for what?
The meeting, sir.
Oh, I'd forgotten about your rotten old meeting.
Where are the others?
On deck. It may interest you to know we've just sighted land.
Land? Mr. Pryor? Land!
Yes. We've just sighted hell.
Oh.
Looks like quite a jolly little spot from here. The Padre's arranging a sweepstake on the exact time it will take us to get in. He's suddenly developed a sense of humor.
Sense of humor? And sweepstakes? When we're all... What's the use of a sense of humor to a dead man?
I don't know. I've never asked one.
Oh, why don't they come?
You're getting the wind up a bit, aren't you? Oh, I don't blame you, Lingley of Lingley Limited.
Will you be quiet, foolish boy?
What's the object of this meeting, anyway?
I've called this meeting to decide, is this company alive or dead?
And the next item on the agenda?
The best way to deal with the examiner. Mr. Pryor is a prospective shareholder. As a prospective shareholder, I ask you what you think.
Mr. Lingley, do you know anything about Elizabethan furniture?
Nothing whatever.
Neither do I. That's why I never talk about it.
But it's the right thing to do, isn't it?
To solemnly sit down and discuss if we're immortal souls and if we have to pool them, undoubtedly.
We must all face the examiner together.
Enter Mrs. Cliveden Banks.
I must apologize for being late. I've been playing sweepstake.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks, why this dress?
Our present circumstances.
Will you sit here?
It's nice to be able to, isn't it?
Friend Duke enters.
Hello, Tom. Hello, Lingley. Hello, Banky.
Banky?
Yes, Banky. We're dead now, so my job's over and I can be quite natural. Do what I like and say what I like. Banky. Briar, have you heard this one? I've been dying to spring it for ages. There was a young girl of Hong Kong.
Oh, I knew that one. It's a beauty.
Sir, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. We are about to hold a board meeting.
Sorry. Damn sorry.
Supposing your bishop heard you say damn.
Impossible, unless he's listening in.
You've evidently become unbalanced.
Enter Mrs. Midget.
Mrs. Midget, sit here, will you? Very good of you to come. I hope you, your family are all well. And
Please don't mention hell, Mrs. Midget. It's a rather ticklish subject at the moment.
now, are we all here?
We're all here.
Then shall we begin?
A young couple aren't here.
They never say anything anyway. Shall we begin?
Begin.
Ladies and gentlemen, ahem.
And they're off.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Ear.
Be quiet.
I was only thanking him for the compliment.
ladies and gentlemen, de mortuis nil nisi bonum.
Oh, no, no Greek, please. Mrs. Midget wouldn't understand it.
That means speak nothing but good of the dead.
I am a businessman. I would like firstly, therefore, to explain the reason I have called this meeting. During the last few weeks, things have happened to me and to all of us which need exploring if they have happened. Why? So that we may draw up a clean balance sheet. So, in view of the nature of the harbor we are now approaching, I call on Mr. Duke for a few words. The Reverend W. Duke, MC.
Brethren, de mortius, exactly, for we are dead. De mortius, that means we've done our jobs. It also means we are up for verdict, or shortly will be. I can only add, let us hope we have done our jobs to the best of our ability. Now we're nearing this, the dread examiner, so we think something should be done. So we've put off really thinking what to do till the last moment. Naturally, we would. We're all English.
Rule Britannia.
You ask for my professional advice. I have none to give. What can I possibly say? Would a barrister be able to plead if the judge came into court and solemnly stood on his head? Could the king open parliament in his pajamas?
Certainly not.
Well, is he a king wearing pajamas anyway?
Quite. None of these people would know what to do. They'd be facing something different, something they've never expected would happen to them. That is my position. I would pray for you if I thought my prayers would be worth anything, but I don't understand. And to pray for something one doesn't understand is to be an idolater.
Oh, we mustn't be one of those.
It's the first time I've never known what to do. It's a strange business, this being dead. Ah, come in. By the way, I suppose we're all agreed on that point?
What point?
Please do.
What point?
Are we all dead, or are we not?
That's what I called this meeting to decide. You two, won't you sit down? No? No. Very well then. The motion is in front of us, I think perfectly plain to all. Are we... Who will speak first?
I will, for I think it is the most impertinent question to be asked. If I am dead, why can't I be dead in private? Personally, I believe I am dead. My corsets have never fitted so comfortably anyway.
Mr. Pryor?
I know. And you don't care a damn one way or the other.
The man is a plebiscite.
Mr. Duke?
Agreed, Mr. Lingney.
I agree. Mrs. Midget?
Ladies and gents, all I want to know is this, and I really don't know what's going on. But if it is as happened, and it would greatly please me to know that I've been done proper.
I beg your pardon.
You know, the street, the neighbours, the sherry, wine and cake and flowers.
This is beside the point. Do you think you're dead or do you not?
Oh, I leave it entirely to you, sir.
I take it in favor of the motion. And now, you two young people?
Hey, no. They've always known.
Please, please let them answer for themselves. Well, what do you say?
We have nothing to say.
Oh, but you must have. This is a most important meeting. Very well. Then I will therefore enter the verdict of the board that this board certifies itself to be dead. Now, the next thing for me to decide is the most effective way to meet and talk with this examiner who is about to pounce upon us. He is bound to be a hard, stern businessman, in which case I suggest I am one best fitted to deal with him.
Supposing he isn't anything like that. Supposing he is something even you cannot understand. Don't you think we all ought to speak for ourselves, if we can?
It's if we can't, I'm thinking of.
Scrubby enters.
Why not ask that steward person about him? They must have met before.
You wanted to ask me about the examiner, sir.
Yes, if you would be so good.
What did you want to know exactly, sir?
Well, he can't be tipped. That, of course, is obvious. But between ourselves, what sort of a person is he?
I can't say. I don't know. It depends on yourselves. I have seen some men and women before him cry for... but no, I can't say.
Tell us just this, Scrubby. What do you think we really ought to do? How exactly should we approach him?
I have been asked that question nearly 5,000 times, sir. I have always answered that it is better to leave the approaching to him.
Scrubby, have I any chance?
You all have chances, sir.
What's he like?
He's the wind and the skies and the earth, sir. He knows the furthest eddy of the high tide up the remotest cove. He knows the simpleness of beauty and the dirtiest thoughts of the human mind. He'll know all your evil thoughts.
God.
Yes, sir, he will. Would you excuse me now, please? I can tell no more. A seagull has just fallen onto the deck. It may have broken its wing. If so, I must try and mend it.
Poor thing.
Yes, madam, it's very sad the way the birds die in these strange waters.
Oh, come. We mustn't all get jumpy. I still think we ought to be prepared, though my own conscience is perfectly clear.
Then you'd better worry about ours, dear Mr. Lingley. I shan't cause you much trouble, of course, but for the sake of the others, I quite agree. Tabulate us, as it were. It will save any amount of trouble.
Exactly. So, if you will all just give me a few details about yourselves and any special little reference you might like me to bring forward, Mrs. Cliveden Banks, let me start with you. What shall I say about you to this examiner?
I should just say that I am or was Mrs. Cliveden Banks and leave it at that. That should suffice.
Oh, very well. You, Mrs. Midget.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, dear. Is that really all?
Yes, please, sir.
All right. Not at all satisfactory, but I suppose all right. In my hands. You, Mr. Pryor.
Oh, say I'm an old drunk.
That won't help you very much.
How do you know?
But you must have had some redeeming qualities that will help you. For instance, were you good to your mother, or did you go to Oxford?
Oh, shut up.
Really? You're none of you being very helpful. A drunk, Mrs. Cliveden Banks, and I don't know.
I should prefer to proceed the drunk.
Very well. Now, sir, how can you assist me?
I can't.
But you then, madam?
Speaks for both of us.
We have nothing to say.
It is really most discourteous of you. Mr. Duke, I can rely on you at any rate.
You can rely on me for one piece of information.
Thank you very much.
I now entirely agree with Mr. Pryor for calling you a pompous old idiot.
I'm a martyr. That's what I am, just because I'm trying to do my duty.
Your duty You're rubbish. You're doing what you are because you're a blue funk. And I don't blame you. I'm in a blue funk too. But not so much as to make an utter ass of myself, trying to get out of this with balance sheets and board meetings. You're hoping to save your own skin that way. I see through your little scheme, and I think it's pretty rotten.
Indeed, destructive criticism is very simple.
Precisely. Look at a mad elephant.
I don't want to look at a mad elephant. I have no sympathy whatsoever with mad elephants, but I do sympathize with myself and with all of us. And that's what I say. This attitude is wrong, utterly wrong.
What do you advise us to do?
I've told you, I can advise nothing.
That's very useful.
Oh, sir, not just one word of help.
That is different. If I can help, I will. But you mustn't take anything I say in the nature of advice. The blind leading the blind, you know. I can only tell you what I am going to do myself, and I may be wrong.
What are you going to do, Duke?
I have been trying to look into myself silently, trying to prepare humbly to examine my past. Then I am going to pray to be able to make one more prayer. But for myself, I am not fit to pray for others. If any of you care to do likewise, please do so if it will comfort you. Look back.
I could look back, of course, but I don't intend to. Remember Mrs. Lott.
Thank you, sir.
No, now, that's just what I didn't want you to do. You see, Mrs. Midget, try to understand. We are just shipmates, you and I, trying to help one another. I'm not a captain any longer. I cannot pray for others. Now, perhaps the realization of this is the beginning of my punishment. I've lost my job.
I don't suppose it was worth much anyway.
It was the most glorious job in the world. I suppose a man never really knows he's incompetent until he's sacked. I can't understand, and I ought to. It's my job, too, and it's beastly hard not to be able to. It's heartbreaking. It's... Give me a cigarette.
Well,
Too late. Didn't you hear?
what?
I heard.
What?
The siren.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't hear anything.
Now, Mr. Pryor.
I didn't. I can feel something, though. Can't you?
No,
The boat's stopped.
exactly. We're in.
No, I won't face it. I daren't. Let me get away. Let me.
Pryor, my boy.
Can't face it. I want to get away. Make the boat go on.
Henry!
We can none of us get away. We've stopped for good now. Our judgment moment's arrived.
No, it can't be. Here, in the smoke room of a liner.
Why shouldn't it be here in the smoke room of a liner? Have any of us really ever troubled very much to think where and how and when it might be?
Henry, they won't separate us. They can't.
We're for it now, all right?
Must stick together. Duke, man, you must pray, even if the words are meaningless. Don't desert duty at the last moment. We're in the night, and I want a prayer. I want a prayer from a man. I don't care if he's a clergyman or not.
You ought to pray, Your Reverence.
Even if you can't understand what for, you understand us.
You really think I ought to, Mrs. Midget?
Yes, sir. Pardon the liberty. There's no harm in it. Habits, if they're good habits, and prayer is a good habit.
Forgive me then, for I don't know. Gentle Jesus, meek and mild, look upon a little child. Children, pardon our simplicity. Suffer us to come to thee. God bless father and mother, Harriet, she was my nurse, all kinds of friends. Make me a good boy. Amen. That was the first prayer I ever learnt, so it's probably the finest. Say it to yourselves if you want to, and remember Harriet. She was a worthy soul.
Henry. Let's hide.
She takes
I
his
feel
hand,
better.
and they exit. Scrubby enters.
We're in, ladies and gentlemen. We're in.
Yes. Yes, we know.
The examiner is just coming on board. His cutter's alongside. He'll be with you in a second.
Scrubby exits.
We can do nothing now.
Mr. Lingley. Mr. Lingley.
Oh,
Well, hadn't we all better stand up?
hey, of course, yes. It would be more polite.
Politeness.
Scrubby appears.
The examiner.
Duke!
Quiet.
Reverend Frank Thompson enters.
Hello, hello, hello there, I say. Where is everyone? Where are you, Duke? Ah, there you are. Duke, old boy, how are you?
Good. Well, I'm dashed if it isn't all grease spot.
It is, sir, and greasier than ever. This climate. Well, I am glad to see you after all this time. How are you, Duke? Have a good passage? You're looking fit.
Oh, I'm not feeling it.
I only heard this morning your boat was due in this afternoon. I had seen your name on the passenger list, of course, so I hurried down especially to meet you. I had been up country.
Thank you.
Well, how goes everything? I'm bursting for news. How's Ferguson? Still in the same old place?
Oh, no, they've made him a bishop now.
Good Lord, they would. Well, I hope he likes it. Do you still go for your blowout at Simpson's every payday, you young rascal? Tell me, what's the meat like there now?
Oh, Thompson, I'm delighted to see you again, of course, and I'm dying to tell you everything afterwards, if I can. But can't you realize at this moment how terribly worried I am?
Worried? Worried about what?
This person,
What person?
this person or whoever it is who's just come to examine us.
The examiner. Oh, I shouldn't worry about him. At least I shouldn't worry very much.
What do you mean?
I'm the examiner.
You are.
Well, I'm one of them anyway.
You're my examiner.
Yes, preliminary one anyway. You're under my orders now. And I tell me, my boy, you'll have to mind your P's and Q's, and how you'll have to slog at it. But I've fixed your digs up for you all right. They're not up to much, but clean, in the same house as myself. The old woman's quite a decent sort. And it's near your work, right in the centre of the parish. So you couldn't do better, really.
Work.
I find it quite handy myself.
A parish slog at it. Thompson, you don't mean I haven't lost my job after all? Don't torture me. Don't tell me quickly.
Of course you haven't lost it. You haven't started it yet. You're just beginning it.
Not lost my job. still got my job. Oh, thank you. Oh, thank God. I will never, I will work harder now every month. I swear I will, Mr. Thompson. Harder than ever. Oh, do you all hear my job? I was so keen on it. It's not been taken from me after all. My, oh, job.
There, boy. There. Whatever made you think it would be taken from you? There. It's quite all right.
I'm very glad to see they know each other so well. Of course, Mr. Duke will get off lightly. A friend at court, you see. Influence. Ah, it's always the same. Shall I say something to him?
Good Lord, madam, no.
Feeling better now?
I'm very sorry, sir, but it means such a lot to me, you understand.
Perfectly. I had exactly the same feeling when it happened to myself. You can start your apprenticeship now and help me with this bunch. By the way, there aren't many of you.
No, sir.
Then it won't take long, and we can get on shore for dinner.
Dinner. Sir, if I find my trials being scamped, I shall appeal.
Scrubby, take that man away, will you?
Yes, sir. This way, Mr. Lingley.
It's all very disgraceful.
And the best had better wait with him, outside.
Will you all come this way, please?
How do you do? Oh, very well then. Don't.
Well, let's get to work immediately now. Who have we got on board? Cliveden, Banks, Midget, Pryor, and the officious gent who spoke to me, yourself.
There's an awfully nice, quiet young couple.
Oh, I don't remember them. We'll begin with the officious one. Scrubby?
Scrubby appears.
Show in Mr. Feltman?
Mr. Feltman!
But there's no Feltman on board, Thompson.
Isn't there?
Mr. Feltman!
Not that I know of.
Feltman, come here.
Lingley appears.
You are looking at me?
Yes, come in. Sit down. There.
Well,
Well, sir?
you've made a mistake. My name's Lingley of Lingley Limited.
Your name's Feltman. At least that was the name of your parents.
No, sir. My name's Lingley, and I'm sorry to see you mixing things up with me. I'm a businessman, and mistakes annoy me. You see, my fellow passengers have practically left everything in my hands. Now, if you'll just put your cards on the table.
Is your name Feltman, or is it not?
It is not.
Very well, then. Your case is over. Get up.
Wait. My name is Feltman.
Why did you say it wasn't?
Business.
Rascality.
I called myself Langley because
South America got too hot for you under the name of Feltman.
what am I charged with anyway?
Just being yourself.
I'm very proud of being myself. From small beginnings, I have worked up to great things. I have never hesitated for a second, but always kept to the straight path. The South American business you wouldn't understand being a clergyman, but when a man is becoming successful, he finds himself surrounded by jealous enemies.
Even a clergyman may have noticed that.
I am an honest British merchant. My bank balance will show you that. And that I have a career behind me any self-made man might be proud of. I await my just reward.
You shall get it, honest British merchant. As a matter of fact, you're not British at all, Feltman. You were born in Leipzig. You commenced your career by breaking a playmate's head against a granite curb because he had a painted toy horse. You wanted to get it.
Well, I got it.
Oh, I'll grant you that. That's how you've made that glorious straight path you boast about, by knocking down anyone who came across it or tried to turn you off it. Well, you'll have to learn, that's all.
I've not been wicked. People respect me.
Do they? To your face, perhaps they do.
I am innocent.
You think so?
I'm positive.
Then you're not a businessman. Some businessmen get found out during their lives. You're only found out now. Come, off you get.
I.
There is no appeal.
What are you going to try and do to me?
You will suffer, as you have made others suffer. Go.
Give me a second chance.
Did you give anybody a second chance? Get out of it.
Finley attempts to strike him, but is suddenly stopped.
Get out of it.
Slowly turns and goes.
He is going to suffer. But suffering sometimes works wonderful transformations. Let's hope, boy. Let's hope. Scrubby,
Sir?
just see that he goes the right way.
Very good, sir.
Scrubby exits.
I wish you'd see the young couple next. I know they must be suffering.
What young couple is this?
I told you about them.
Yes, but I've had no information from any other quarter. It's funny.
They seem so devoted. You'll have a pleasant job with them, I know.
But who exactly are they?
Well, I used to call them to myself the lovers, but their real name is...
Scrubby appears.
Scrubby, do you know anything about a young couple on this boat?
Oh, those two. Pardon me, sir, they'd slipped my mind, because you see, I knew you wouldn't want to see them.
Not see them?
Why shouldn't I want to see them?
They're halfways, sir.
Halfways. Oh, that explains it. No, it wouldn't be much use my seeing them. Showing, Mrs. Clifton Banks?
Yes, sir.
You're not even going to see them?
No.
What is a halfway, Thompson?
You'll learn, Duke. You'll learn in good time.
Scrubby appears.
But I wish you would.
Mrs. Clifton Banks.
Mrs. Clifton Banks appears. Scrubby goes.
How do you do? How do you do? Very pleased to meet you.
Delighted to meet you, Mrs. Clifton Banks. Will you sit down?
Thank you. Very sultry weather for the first time of the year, isn't it? Still, we've had a lovely passage, haven't we, dear Mr. Duke?
Oh, yes. Delightful, dear Mrs. Clifton Banks.
It was a bit rough at first, though, I must admit. Between ourselves, I was publicly ill on several occasions, but I didn't mind. I love giving pleasure to others.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, I did. Thanks to your kind friend, Mr. Duke. We clung together like limpets. I really don't know what I should have done without him, for entre nous, the company was a trifle mixed. Not that I should have mentioned that, of course. No. To speak no evil nor to listen to it, as our dear Milton wrote. He was blind when he wrote it too, wasn't he? So very clever of him. What wonderful men our church turns out. Mr.
Thompson, ma'am?
No, surely not one of the Berkshire Thompsons?
Not that I am aware of.
Ah, a pity. My great-great-grandfather was a Berkshire Thompson.
Really? My great-great-grandfather was a murderer.
How quaint. Though it must have been awkward at the time, for him especially.
Mrs. Cliveden Banks.
Play golf?
I play indifferently.
I think all men ought to play golf. It keeps them away from home such a lot. My husband, Colonel Cliveden Banks, is quite an expert. I believe he's all fours, for all, plus fours, or something equally manlike.
Oh yes, Bunny's hot stuff. I was having a round with him not long ago. He'll tell you all about it when you land.
I don't land.
Don't you? Why not?
You'll pardon my vulgarity, but this is hell, is it not?
This is a boat. The little place over there is exactly what you have chosen to make it.
How fascinating, but how non-committal. Benjamin and I are both dead then?
Quite dead.
He might have let me know. That makes the marriage null and void. If it doesn't, I shall consult a solicitor.
Your marriage is only just beginning.
How droll you are, but how nice of you to put it in that way.
Now, will you go ashore? You'll find everything most comfortable. A villa, servants, all you want, and your husband waiting with outstretched arms.
You say my husband is waiting for me? Then it is hell. What should I be exactly?
You'll be his wife. You'll fulfill all the social duties necessary to his new station.
Such as?
Giving dinner parties, dances. Really, Mrs. Cliveden Banks, that's the sort of thing ought to appeal to you very much. Well, that's the proposal. What's your answer?
I refuse, absolutely.
Then I'm afraid we shall have to resort to compulsion.
I won't do it. I won't. I won't.
Why won't you, Mrs. Cliveden Banks?
It's in his eyes. You know I couldn't face them anymore, knowing what they know.
You're a thoroughly bad lot. You trapped him. You were grasping. You made him marry you. You.
Don't let me down before him.
I wouldn't if you'd been a good harlot, but you weren't. You were a bad one.
Rather a vulgar way of putting it. Anyway, I was nothing of the sort. I was a very lonely young woman who used to go about by herself a lot. That's all.
She always said she was a soldier's daughter.
And so I am. I am the daughter of a lance corporal, and mother never even knew his regiment. Is that frank enough for you, Mr. Duke?
Only a poor unfortunate after all.
No, Duke. Not a poor unfortunate. This old woman was once a beautiful young girl, outwardly.
If you mention whited sepulchres, I shall scream.
But she was never an unfortunate, never. She's been just a schemer, and somehow she's always managed to fall on her feet. There were 2 other men before she met Cliveden Banks, but she made Bunny marry her. He found out about it all later, but he's never told you. But you noticed the look in his eyes. Keep up the farce, they said. Let's be respectable, and there's a great deal in it, too. So you go back to him. Only remember, Mrs. Cliveden Banks, it won't be Bunny who'll know now. It will be you, and I, and Duke, and everybody except Bunny. He'll have forgotten.
Well, let me see now. There'll be the mansion and the servants and the parties and my conscience, my poor little conscience. Still, I suppose I should always have that with me, shouldn't I? And you really think Bunny would idolize me? And as you say, I always fall on my feet. I'll go.
You certainly will.
It's my duty, my all-compelling duty. Oh, speaking of duties, there are no customs, I suppose? No? Good. Perhaps you'll both come and dine with the Colonel and me one night. Goodbye, Mr. Tompkins. You swine.
Exits.
This place wants fumigating. They keep these decks pretty clean, I must say.
Henry and Anne appear.
Okay. Is this the couple?
Can't you?
Not yet, my children.
Henry and Anne exits.
Thompson, what are halfways?
Fire enters.
Duke, Duke,
Yes.
make him see me next.
Really, Prior?
You must. I can't stand the suspense. My nerves aren't right. I can't stand it.
There's nothing to worry about.
I tell you, I can't stand it.
What's the matter, boy?
Sir, if you please, I want you to deal with me next. It isn't fair treating me like the others. I'm very highly strung.
Come in, boy. Come in. And don't be frightened. We're not going to hurt you.
The dentist.
There. Sit down there. Now, what's the trouble?
I want to be dealt with, sir. I want to know.
Calm yourself, boy. Calm yourself. Drink this. You're fond of your drink, I know.
Thanks, sir.
Well, what do you want?
I want to be killed. I want to be killed.
Healthy outlook on life you've got, haven't you?
No, I haven't. I'm a weak character. I want to be left off lightly. I want to be hit over the head with a stone and finished.
Duke, send ashore for a bag of stones, will you?
Oh, don't joke. I'll drop all sarcasm. It's the only thing that's kept me going till now, but I'll drop it now if you will.
Certainly.
I know. At least I guess what you're doing with the others. You're keeping them going with punishment and promises and things. I don't want to be kept going. I want blank.
Impossible.
But I'm dead. And I demand the right to be properly dead. I've always dreamed about being dead. But I've slept it all.
How old are you?
Oh, hundreds of years. I must be. Give me blank.
You're going on like the others.
I won't.
You'll find it quite easy to forget here, you know.
Easy to forget? What? I'm not suggesting I am to go on and without this.
Mrs. Midget appears.
Yes.
Is that all I'm to forget?
Yes.
As if I could. As if I would, anyway. You damn torturer. I see what you want me to do. You want me to chuck drink, develop a nice clean brain, and remember all the other horrors. No, I won't do it. It's all I've got. It's my only comfort if I'm to go on. Kill me. It's not asking much. Look at all the trouble it will spare you. I'm not worth saving. I'm not, really.
You've suffered.
I'm a martyr and a saint. Well, you can't see my halo because I just pawned it.
Can't I do anything?
No, you can't.
Perhaps I could, sir.
What do you want?
My name's Midget, sir. Excuse me barging in it, as it were, but
I'm very pleased to meet you. Yes, I know all about you. But you've no business here yet. Please go back at once.
You see, Your Reverence, when I first got onto his big boat, nobody would speak to me. I was lost, as it were. And then young Mr. Pryor was very kind to me, spoke to me, and broke the icicles, as it said. And if he is in trouble, I really don't feel I could put my head on my pillow tonight, if I have one pillow, and not head after what he's done for me. Now, what is all this fluster to do, anyway? It's about the booze, isn't it?
Booze, eh? Oh, well, yes, drink is certainly mixed up with it.
I shouldn't think you've ever had much of a chance, though. Have you, sir?
I've had every chance, Mrs. Midget. I was spoiled. I was ungrateful. I ruined. Please drop it.
There was a girl, too, wasn't there?
Be quiet.
There was a girl, though, wasn't there?
Oh, yes, there was. How did you know?
She was the final old. How do you do, I take it?
As you so poetically express it, she was.
She shocked you, didn't she?
She did.
Nasty little cat. Always lived by yourself, I take it. No one to look after you. Now what you want is a nice, good, honest, steady, respectable housekeeper who'd take care of you.
Mrs. Midget!
Yes, she might do. Then all your things would be properly looked after, with everything mended and darned and ready for you to put on. Someone to see you didn't sit up too late, too often, no fussing mind, and call you in the morning with a nice hot cup of tea. What time do you get up?
What time do they open?
Oh, you can have your drinks as long as you don't mind them interfere with your meals or take away your appetite. I'm a good cook, I am, and if you left anything untouched, it would upset me so awful.
Mrs. Midget, you're suggesting.
I was thinking of it, yes.
That's fine of you. There's a little cottage waiting for you, with a garden by the sea.
There we are then, the very spot. Has it got a good sink?
You don't quite follow. True, Mr. Pryor is free to do as he chooses, but he has not yet arrived on the same plane as you have. He would not be allowed to live there, to begin with, anyway.
Then why can't I go where he's going? That's simple enough.
It would mean going back to the slums.
What's the matter with the slums? They're all right. Why, Your Reverence, religion is simply repentant in some of them.
I won't listen to the idea.
Do, please. You can always
not-
give me a week's notice.
I'm not worth bothering about.
I'm willing to have a shot.
I can't understand this extraordinary interest anyway.
One good turn deserves another.
This is another trap.
Velvet line, sir.
Please don't keep on calling me sir. I'm not a gentleman, really.
Aren't you, sir?
No, I'm not. If I were, shouldn't be hesitating as I am. Mr. Examiner, help me. You must be experienced in making decisions.
No, boy, I can't help you in this. It's your own choice.
Do, guy.
You know what Mr. Thompson said. It's for you to speak.
Very well, then. I'll go by myself.
Pryor.
I'm not worth bothering about.
And in those very words, you've proved you are, because you really meant them. Humility, my boy, humility. Take him away, Mrs. What's-her-name, and do the best you can with him. And jolly good luck to you both, you couple of rascals.
Mind you, I won't promise. I won't promise to be good.
No, sir. We'll just open mutual light.
It's going to be difficult. Yes, it's going to be difficult.
That's the way.
Thanks, awfully.
On exits, Mrs. Midget starts to follow.
You're a good mother, Mrs. Pryor.
Lost you. How did you find out? I lost you. You'll never tell him, will you? Promise you'll never let him know.
I promise.
And you too, sir.
I promise, of course.
Thank you both. You see, he mustn't even guess. Oh, sirs, ain't it wonderful? He doesn't know me, and I got him to look after at last. Without say, know me, and I've got him to look after at last, without a fear of disgracing him. It's heaven. That's what it is. It's heaven.
Mrs. Midget?
He wants me at last. Yes, dearie, I'm coming.
She exits. Act 3, Scene 2. Small table having been removed, moonlight pours in through the portholes. Scrubby enters, collecting a few glasses, placing them on a tray. He's tidying up. Goes through the door behind the bar. Anne appears.
Henry? Henry? Henry, where are you? I want you. Henry? Henry!
Yes, dear?
Where have you been?
Looking at the sea.
You know we've sailed again.
Yes.
Why have we both been left behind?
I don't know, dear. But what does it matter? We've been left together.
Yes, you and I.
The lights of that place have gone now.
Where were you just now? Where were you?
Looking at the sea.
I've taken a dislike to the sea, husband. It seems to me we should keep terribly close.
Why, dear?
Can't you ever feel when things are passing over you? Bad things. I can. They're round us now, all round. They've been round us since we left that harbour.
Why weren't we judged?
I don't know. And I don't know why you left me for a while.
What's that?
What?
I thought I heard a dog bark. It was Jock. Something seemed to touch my hand. We should have insisted on being heard. We were cowards.
Not because we're ashamed of our love.
No, because we were afraid of being separated.
Yes?
It's strange. That tinkling noise, like glass. Sharp pieces of glass falling on stone. Do you hear it, Anne?
No, dear.
My nerves are all on edge. I'd have sworn I did. Anne, where are we going to?
I can't think. Perhaps it's the dreadful house with the double staircase in the hall. No.
The stairs I run up and down trying to find you.
Perhaps it isn't a dream place at all.
Since we left that harbour, I feel we're bound for some place dimly remembered. And I feel a breeze, like a breath of different air.
They didn't even question us. Perhaps it's freedom.
Oh, and wife, don't let's get away from each other. We don't know where we are. We don't know what's becoming to us or where we're going.
Oh, I don't really care what's becoming to me, as long as I'm with my husband. But if you went away from me...
It seems you're rather leaning on me now.
Cheers, Henry.
Cheers, Anne.
See, I love you. I love you so much. I love the way you walk. I love the way you hold your head. I love you. I love your mouth.
My wonderful Anne. They won't separate us now, will they, Anne? Nothing can take one from the other now.
Nothing. Nothing.
Keep close, though. Keep close.
I've got you, darling. I've got you.
Never let go.
Why aren't we closer? I thought we would be when we were dead.
I thought there would be no need for speech. That we, the real you and I, would drift away together. Where is the utter completeness of Anne?
Supposing, after all, we were wrong.
Wrong? How wrong? What was that?
It's just supposing.
Anne?
Scrubby enters.
Good evening, madam. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Scrubby.
Anne?
Yes, dear?
There's Jock barking.
Don't be silly.
Who's Jock, ma'am?
A dog. At home.
Listen. Listen.
Don't be silly, Henry.
I'd like him to be with us. Jock!
Keep close to him, miss, if you'll take my advice.
You can tell us. You can help, can't you? Where are we going to?
We just go on like this, sir. Forwards and backwards, backwards and forwards.
Forever?
Alone?
Yes, quite alone.
Why is this happening to us?
It happens to all halfways, like we are.
But what are we, Scrubby? We halfways.
We're the people who ought to have had more courage.
For what?
To face life.
Do you remember how you became a halfway?
Oh no. I've been allowed to forget. I hope you'll be allowed to forget. It would be too cruel if they didn't let you forget in time that you killed yourselves.
Scrubby!
My God! That's it! Now I remember. Suicide!
Keep closer to him, madam.
People who ought to have had more courage. I see. That's what we've done that wasn't right.
Henry!
The little bits are fitting together.
Yeah, don't worry.
Oh, Anne, I wanted to forget. Oh, don't say the damn torch is going to start all over again. We've reached the end of our tether as it was. Anne.
I'm with you still.
But you can't face it, Anne. You can't stand it anymore. I won't let you suffer not another second. We'll kill ourselves, dear, and forget in each other's arms, and then we'll be so happy, sweet, so happy forever. Oh, but it's over. We have killed ourselves, and we're not happy.
No, we're not.
We can't stand it, Anne.
We've got to.
Why did you kill yourselves?
We weren't married, Scrubby.
Weren't you, madam? Oh, you two poor dears. Pardon my familiarity.
I was trapped into a marriage.
He's so guileless, Scrubby.
Anne came to me in such a wonderful way. It was like dawn.
They'd been so cruel to him, Scrubby. Never an atom of love in his whole life before. Was there, Henry?
Never. Anne was the only true and good thing I've ever met. We loved. We loved. I gave my soul for love as Anne gave hers. We got so near each other that we knew there was only one minute spiritual barrier between us. And we believed that was death. Death can unify utterly. We believed that. And yet, we're just as if we had never died.
You killed yourselves.
We should have waited?
Yes.
Oh, Scrubby. You don't know the agony we've been through. The way people talked. The things they said.
Lies! Such bloody lies!
It smeared our love! Smeared!
With their dirty, dirty tongues.
You see, Scrubby, we didn't conceal it. We didn't pretend.
We weren't ashamed. We started so proudly. So proudly.
We were beaten down, so bruised, so hurt.
But we should have gone on.
Yes.
And now you children are faced with memories.
I remember the long sweep into the dark. The last thing I saw was Jock's face against the window. I can see him now. Almost feel him now. Jock. Jock.
Outside the window, sir?
Yes. Outside. And then you, Anne. I haven't taken care of you well enough. I've been a coward. Oh, to be given back even a little while, to try again. Our future here isn't hell, it isn't heaven, it's past imagination.
Eternity.
Anne, I must save you. I promise that I will. I'm the man. It's my fault. It's my fault. All my fault. We didn't understand, dear. That we should have been true and brave and fearless. That nothing could have hurt us wherever we were. Whatever we may have been, or maybe.
It's too late now.
Let me think, dear. There must be a way out. Let me think.
Don't let him go too far, madam. Call him now.
Henry!
Anne.
Don't go too far away.
No, dear.
Why aren't people kinder to each other, Scrubby?
Being unkind comes more natural to most people, I'm afraid.
I'd try to be kinder if I had it over again. Now there's no one left to be kind to.
Present company accepted. What did you like best in life?
I liked so many things. I loved the earth, the scent of the earth, of newly cut grass after rain, the trees, and clear things like water. Are you very lonely, Scrubby?
Oh no, ma'am, not on the whole. I've all sorts of comforting little thoughts locked up in my brain, so when I get a bit lonely, I just turn the key and out come the thoughts to dance in front of me. Very whimsical and entertaining, some of them are too, I must say.
I do hope we'll get on together. When I was living, I did want people to look after, but I had so few friends. Now I've none, excepting you.
You'll find lots of new friends, ma'am. Not quite the same, but most consoling. The birds come on board occasionally, and the sky appreciates a clean good morning, and the sea's in a good temper sometimes. Don't always think of nature as men and women. If you're kind to nature, nature will understand. These are some of my comforts. You want the earth again. The sea will tell your wish to the clouds, maybe, and perhaps some little drifting cloud will float with the news over to the land, and rest above the cool trees and the yellow gorse and the grass near the chalk pita. So, though you can't get the earth again, ma'am, the earth may know. And let's hope she will and send back her kind regards and very best wishes. Call him again.
Call him? Why?
Call him.
Henry? Henry? Henry?
She exits one door, then returns.
Henry? Henry! He must be here! He must! He must be here! Henry!
He has gone.
Henry! You haven't looked!
Useless.
do you mean?
I know what's happened to him.
What?
He lives again.
Lives? Henry's gone back?
The dog. Perhaps he broke through.
Henry is gone back? Alone?
He's stronger than you. More power to resist the fumes, maybe?
Gone back. I'll follow him.
You can't.
Henry wouldn't leave me alone.
He couldn't help himself, madam.
We've been dead a week.
A week, a century, a moment. There's no time here. He's gone back, madam.
Then I'll go too.
You can't.
I will. I must.
It's impossible.
I will follow. Henry? Henry? Henry, dear? Where are you? It's Anne, dear. Where are you, baby? Just tell me where you are. Where are you? I'll come, darling. Just tell me. Henry? Henry!
He won't answer.
Henry? Henry, are you in the flat? I believe you are, Henry. You mustn't be there by yourself. You won't know how to manage anything.
It's useless.
Henry! Listen! Henry! Oh, love! Oh, great love! It's speaking, Henry. The little wedding ring. It wasn't a wedding ring at all. Put it on my finger again. It's on the mantelpiece. Henry! Don't leave me alone forever. It's your Anne who wants you. Henry. Henry, dear.
Quiet. Quiet. I heard something out there. On the deck.
Henry appears.
Hello, Henry?
Hello, Anne. Quick, dear. Be very quick. There's only a second or two. I've come to fetch you home, dear. Are you ready, sweetheart?
Ready, Henry. Ready.
We've such a lot to do, my love. And such a little time to do it in. Quick. Quick.
They go out together. Scrubby watches them go. Moves up to the door. End of play. Thank you for joining us for Outward Bound. A big thanks to our friend, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. Visit him at his website, shakespeareapproves.com, or on Facebook at Shakespeare Approves, your friendly neighborhood Shakespeare. There should be links to all of his content and more in the comments of this video. We would also like to thank all of the actors who volunteered to read with us tonight. Thank you all so very much for joining us. If you enjoyed this reading, all of our past readings are available on our Facebook page and a little bit organized on our website, zenithplayers.com. If you want more information on us, including how to be involved in a reading like this one and be one of the actors surrounding me right now, go to our Facebook page, Zenith Players, and send us a message or send an email, casting@zenithplayers.com, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. We want to continue to express our support to everyone out there working to keep us healthy and safe and vaccinated as possible. Join us next Saturday for A Doll's House. Thank you and good night.